Do you ever wonder about those little towns you drive through that are just a dot on a map? Places that not many know much about? What made them? What broke them? What could still haunt them? Well, we're going to dive a little deeper into that. I'm your host, Doc Steph, and welcome to Rural Doc Hop. Welcome back. It's now time to delve into the lore and paranormal surrounding the Trinway and Dresden areas. Many surround Prospect Place Mansion and its previous occupants. Let's start with the missing person from the turn of the century. William Cox and Anna Adams, the oldest daughter of George Adams, inherited Prospect Place and surrounding land after George Adams' death. When they came into possession of this grand house, they poured a large amount of money into the home, installing new floors in the downstairs and a new slate roof with 1886 written into the slate. They were known for hosting grand parties. One such party was for a new Episcopal bishop. This party brought 200 people to Prospect Place, and it is said to have been the first time ice cream was served in Muskingum County. It was brought in by a special rail car that was refrigerated. They were known to live lavishly, and living in this stunning house just added to the allure of the Adams-Cox couple. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, William Cox disappeared without a trace. Local newspapers wrote about the disappearance a week or so after he had disappeared, as to try to keep Anna's privacy in mind. A detective had been put on the case, and the details of his disappearance were murky at best. He reportedly left on November 15th to run an errand in Zanesville, for which he told his family he would go straight there and would not be home for dinner. He then ran into Mr. Henry Park in Trinway at the train station. He was talking with him, stating that he wished he had someone to run his errand to Zanesville, as he had another matter in Columbus that he also had to attend to. Mr. Park's wife was setting off on the train to Zanesville, and she agreed to take his $255 payment to his account at A&E Star Company for him. He then boarded the train west to Columbus, never to be seen in the area again. Later, William Cox was said to have been seen in San Francisco by another Adams, Jenny Adams, who had moved to San Francisco from the Dresden area. She wrote to Anna about his strange behavior, as she did not yet know about his disappearance. In the letter, she explained that she had recognized him on the street and was surprised to see him. She started towards him, yelling his name and asking about his family. He acted annoyed and swept past her, totally ignoring her advances, without a word. He entered into a cigar shop, and she followed as she thought maybe he hadn't recognized her. He lost her by going out a side door into an alleyway. Later, detectives found that Mr. Cox had been a guest on November 18th at a hotel in Columbus called Schrader's Hotel. The clerk and he had fallen into an argument as he refused to register his guest that he had with him, another gentleman. The description that Jenny Adams and the clerk matched each other for the other gentleman. Anna believed there was no way that Jenny had mistaken someone else for him due to their close upbringing. Mr. Cox's son, George Cox, spent many years and quite a sum of money trying to find his father to no avail. It seemed that either he did not want to be found or had passed away. Some speculated that he had squandered the money from his and Anna's inheritance and left to start a new life. Others have wondered who this other gentleman was and for what mysterious reason did he whisk Mr. Cox away. Later, a family member and genealogist believes they have solved where he ended up. It is believed he holed up in a hotel in San Francisco in 1906, where he would then succumb to the great earthquake and fire that year, dying with hundreds of others. We may never know the truth. Let's talk a little more about Prospect Place, as it is the site of many hauntings in the area. Prospect Place also goes by Trinway Mansion or Prospect Place Estate. It is a 29-room brick mansion. The home had many revolutionary features compared to the surrounding homes. The well that fed the home was actually found in the basement, which was not a common thing for the time, but allowed them to not have to go out in the cold or rain to get water. Also, bounty hunters were known to stake out wells and see if a household was using more water than needed, giving them evidence that more people stayed in the house than they reported. Running water was supplied from a cistern in the basement and was hand-pumped up to a second copper tank in the upper floors. From there, 2 coal-fired stoves with copper tanks were filled, and hot water could be piped to sinks and baths throughout the home, as well as cold water from the copper cistern. After the fire that destroyed Prospect Place, days before the family could move in, it was rebuilt on its original foundation, but with newer fire stopping added to it. The interior walls were made of solid brick, and the mortar between the first and second floor was made 2 inches thick to help block the spread of fire. Prospect Place also had a new way of cooling the home, which could bring cool air from the basement to the living areas via ducts on outside walls, and a primitive refrigeration to help keep milk, cheese, and butter cool, which consisted of an area for ice from the Muskingum River could be placed, and 2 wells, one for each of refrigeration and a freezer. Over the years, the house fell into disrepair after passing from George Cox to Eugene Cox, no relation, who owned Cox Gravel Company. The company proceeded to mine the remaining 275 acres of ground. The owners did not live in Prospect Place, and since they were not seeing things regularly, maintenance issues were undiscovered, and there was a rash of vandalism. The interior had been gutted of anything of value by looters. The estate was scheduled for demolition in 1988. At that time, Dave Lonneberger purchased the house to prevent its destruction. He installed a new roof on the structure and increased security at the home. The company kept security until 2001, when private investors became interested in the property, and the G.W. Adams Education Center, a nonprofit, was founded. It is dedicated to the history, restoration, and preservation of the mansion and estate. By 2017, Prospect Place had fallen into ruins again. Ivy had taken over the carriage house, chimneys had collapsed, damaging the mansion's roof, soffits and fascia had rotted away, allowing animals to readily call the mansion home. Plaster had fallen off the walls and ceiling, and years of debris had pooled up. 40 feral cats that unfortunately had fleas had to be removed and rehomed when the last batch of restoration began. After a settlement was reached for back taxes and litigation was eliminated, volunteers began to restore the mansion once more. Ceilings and wall repairs resumed, soffits, fascia, and other architectural pieces were restored outside. Fresh paint had been applied inside, and the historic nature of the home had been taken into account for the style and colors. Over the past few decades, multiple well-known paranormal investigators have visited Prospect Place and made it even more well-known throughout the country. The Ghost Hunters had an episode all about Prospect Place in 2008. Further well-known paranormal shows, including Ghost Adventures and Ghost Brothers, have also visited and investigated the mansion and grounds. A simple YouTube search shows many smaller paranormal societies and individuals' accounts of the hauntings that take place there. Let's dive a little deeper into those hauntings. George Adams is said to be the one that haunts the first floor, which does make sense, as his parlor was found on the first floor, and many dealings, including meetings about runaway slaves, would have commenced here. His bedroom is also found on the first floor, right above the basement door where runaways would have entered the home. It is said the runaways would come through the door and then use a broom handle or other piece of wood to knock on the floorboards to let him know they were there. He would then knock back to let them know they were heard and that someone would be down to help them. On the first floor, footsteps have been heard, sometimes feeling like a wild goose chase due to hearing them above the investigators, and then when they go up to check, they hear them below them. Some have even heard them in the hallway outside the rooms they're investigating. EVP evidence has been caught with male voices in this area. It is thought that another male spirit could be that of James Adams, who was the son of George Adams. He died just 2 days after his father's death, and it's unknown what he died from. Some think that the increased stress of losing his father and then having to take over all of his father's legacy could have led to an early death. Anna and William adopted a young daughter named Constance. She passed away at the age of 21 from tuberculosis in the home. Some believe she fell to her death from the second story, but others believe she met her fate more quietly in bed. She is thought to be one of the main female apparitions said to haunt the second floor, with some paranormal investigators feeling they have caught her and Anna conversing. The sick room is another hotspot for investigators. It's unknown why this has been known to be the sick room, as there was no fireplace and no closet in the room. The one thought is that it was away from the rest of the bedrooms and off of the back of the house for airflow from the river. Some haunts here, they believe, are residual of someone hiding, as spirit boxes oftentimes come up with the words cover and hide. Others answer questions on EVP, stating they are sick and asking for help. Toys can be used as trigger objects in here, as well as the nursery, occasionally leading to responses about specific toys on EVP. Others have a heavy feeling when they enter the room, while others hear footsteps and knocking that can't be explained. In the servants' quarters, more knocks and footsteps can be heard. When investigators have used spirit boxes, they hear voices that say run, stop, and leave. Some have been scratched in this area. Mainly men have been attacked here near the back servants' stairs if they stay for too long, and some have been forcefully pushed from the area. It is also said that one male voice tends to take the helm during these investigations, even telling other spirits to stop talking. The second floor parlor would have been used for Mary and her children to help them out, to keep them out of conversations that are going on in the first floor. More female voices have been caught on EVP here. Once its incidents had two women arguing. Anna is said to be caught here on EVP. She is said to still be devastated to not be able to find William. The second floor hallway has also been said to have apparitions and shadow play noted regularly. The nursery is also said to be a hotspot for possible residual haunts, where footsteps, children's voices, and rocking horses and rocking chairs move on their own. There is a shirt here that was found on the premises and framed. Supposedly, when it was in Mary's room, it would fall over, but once it was moved to the nursery, it no longer falls over. Some say they have encountered the spirit of a little girl that may have fallen from the second story, possibly a servant's daughter. The story has it her body was kept in the basement on ice until she could be buried with the spring thaw. Still other stories state that the girl's mother came to visit her body every day until she was buried. Some objects here have also been donated, and it is thought possibly some of the haunts could come from the attachments to these older items. Some investigations in the third floor ballroom have labeled this area as a doorway to hell, having EVPs that seem to growl, say nasty things, and attack people, especially women, by scratching them. Some feel an evil presence, while others just feel a heavy sensation. There are rumors that a group, or more than one group, of vandals broke into the home and tried to summon spirits here, which may have led to the opening of a portal. As a local, I remember when this was on the news. Vandals had painted 666, pentagrams, and other symbols on the walls. It was said that no matter how much they painted over it, it would keep coming back, although that might have been due to the type of paint. Others believe a previous owner made up these rumors and painted a cross on the wall to bring more paranormal investigators due to more interesting lore. Could this haunt be a case of thought forms? Some believe that through intense human thought, such as what happens through urban legends or ghost stories, that a shared belief can give way to independent physical existence of an energy. Even without these rumors, many have heard disembodied voices. Some even claim to have heard the residual haunt of music playing. Others have caught shadows out of the corner of their eyes near the two windows found in the area. These easily could be residual due to many parties that have happened here and all the energy surrounding them, with many people in attendance. Although I could not track down specific instances of hauntings in the cupola itself, some interesting lore does pertain to it. When the house was new, shutters would have been in the place on all sides, allowing someone to open one and allow lantern light to only be seen by one side of the property. Since you can see the river from the cupola, it could have been used to signal runaway slaves that the coast was clear to come to the house. Now, for the basement. where a whole host of hauntings are reported. Some believe the spirits of runaway slaves can still be felt here, with cold spots, shadow figures, all the way to full-bodied apparitions. These are mainly seen in the 2 back rooms where they could have been housed and fed. These rooms each have a window, which could be shuttered, and a fireplace. Some have also heard growling noises or cries for help and other deep voices down here. There has been a sighting of a full-bodied apparition of an African-American woman with some sort of wound on her head, who only appears for a short second before disappearing. The other cause for possible spirits of the wounded being located here is another local legend. It is said that a train was stopped on the tracks nearby due to a mechanical problem, and a second train plowed into the back of that one. The boiler of the second engine exploded, killing many on the spot, but leaving others injured and burned. Some believe the survivors were brought to Prospect Place's basement due to its vicinity to the crash, while others feel this can be debunked by local articles from the time. If this did happen, the basement would have kept burn victims cool, but many would have succumbed to their injuries before they could be transported to medical care. Another area that is supposedly very haunted is the barn of Prospect Place. George Adams had this as well as a smokehouse built with the bricks that survived the first burnt down part of Prospect Place. Legend has it that a bounty hunter made camp on the river and felt he had enough evidence to demand the release of the runaway slaves from George Adams. Mr. Adams adamantly denied having any runaway slaves in his home and twice asked him to leave. He then drew a gun on the bounty hunter, and the bounty hunter went back to his camp. Mr. Adams' farmhands followed him back to camp, jumped him, and drug him back to the barn where he was hung from the 3rd floor rafters and died of a broken neck. They then supposedly buried him under one of the stalls to avoid being seen moving his body and covering up any smell of rot with manure. Others believe they would not have risked bringing him back to the barn and would have killed him at the river and sent his body downstream. We may never know, as they would not have called the law, as it was still illegal to harbor runaway slaves, and this was too important of a job to let it out to the press. So what's seen in the barn? Some have noted mists and photographs, while others have caught photos of faces. Some even say some of those faces have horns. Others have seen the full-bodied apparition of a man in what would be period trousers. Many have a very bad feeling before even entering the barn, while others have been scratched and pushed. One group of paranormal investigators felt they were targeted due to one member being African American, and he felt physically ill after being in the barn. Any way you look at it, many have experiences at Prospect Place. It's no wonder some believe that this is one of the most haunted places in Ohio. Residual haunts of footsteps, voices, and even apparitions are seen here regularly, and intelligent haunts are far from out of the question. This home and surrounding land definitely still have a story to tell, and with all the emotions and history so past, it is no wonder spirits may still walk these halls. Other haunts, other than well-known ones we have talked about, can be seen in Trinway and Dresden. One such is an individual homeowner that reported that she and her husband have seen shadows and full-bodied apparitions of a woman who is believed to be a loving mother and grandmother, leaving no ill feelings when she is seen. They have also reported being visited by 2 young children as well as an older gentleman. None of these leave a feeling of bad energy. In Dresden, St. Matthew's Episcopal Cemetery is said to be haunted. This cemetery was on the site of an old stone church that was placed on the historical record in 1983, but burned down several years ago. The cemetery is split in 2 different sections, which would have been divided by the church itself. It is found just outside of Dresden on Old Stone Church Road on the northern side. Many who come there feel like they are being watched. Others have seen full-bodied apparitions of a man wearing coveralls and work boots, some stating he has a winter hat on as well. He is known to approach cars and disappears before he makes it to the startled drivers and passengers. So what do you think? Would you visit and learn more about a small dot on the map? Would you look into more history of an unknown small town, the era it was founded in and thrived, and what caused it to decay over time? Or would you even dare to hunt for the ghosts that haunt the area? Stay tuned to Rural Doc Hop for more small town history lore. Thank you for lending your ear. I'm Doc Steph, signing off for now.